You know what's great for a wonderful weeknight dinner is a little Philly cheesesteak. And it doesn't have to be super difficult. It doesn't have to be something that takes all night. You make up a whole bunch of dirty dishes. Really, it's pepper, onions. Mushrooms are optional, provolone cheese, and some nice shaved steak. So tonight, we're gonna get into that. I'm gonna show you guys how I make it. We're gonna have our assistant here, Miles, who's gonna be strapped to my chest to prove to you that you can make something that's delicious, gastric sleeve, or diet friendly, and good for the whole family, no matter what your circumstance is, babies included. So stay tuned and let's get cooking. The first thing we're gonna do is get our vegetables ready. As with almost all the recipes that you see me cook, I like to make sure that my vegetables are good and prepared so they can go right into the pan. Here I'm going to slice one large red bell pepper and one green bell pepper. You're going to want to put this into a small julienne cut so it's easy to go in with the steak and doesn't overcrowd or over-flavor your meat. There, that's complete. Now let's do the onions. Onions are one of my least favorite things because they make people cry. I like to cut them into simple slices and stick the root ball as far away from my eyeballs as possible. The little known fact about onions is that all the juice lives in the root ball. So if you slice through that a bunch of times, you're gonna cry a bunch of times. So try and keep it whole. For my garlic, I'm gonna use 4 cloves here, smash them and just peel the skin off. Because this is gonna melt down into our mixture, you don't have to be super over the top about how you slice up your garlic. Just give it a quick mince, preferably as fast as I'm doing here if you're that good. And get those into a bowl and set it to the side. Our goal here is to make sure everything is prepared so when we start cooking, we can just keep rolling. Now we're gonna get our bread ready as our final step. Slather that in some unsalted butter, or if you have something like Smart Balance or Country Crock or something that's a little bit healthier, use that. For my sake, I always have this disposal bowl on my counter because that helps me stay clean as I'm cooking. I just put my scraps in there and save them later if I'm gonna make soup or stock. Now our pan is going to be ripping hot. There I go, Boston again. And we're going to get some more olive oil into it. Let this come up to a little bit of smoke point and then add in your vegetables. These are going to saute in a couple of phases. First, we're going to add color and we're going to mix it around and make sure that that gets nice and browned. At this point, we also will season with black pepper and some sea salt. Be liberal with it because remember, there aren't that many flavorings that go into this, so we really want to add our flavor here. I use Maldon sea salt because it's the best. I also added in some seasoning salt to this, making sure that we get flavor all throughout our vegetable prep. Garlic is tricky. People say it gets brown if you leave it in too hot of a pan, and they're right. So just cook it for about a minute or two and add in your mushrooms right on top of it and saute those through. If you're using fresh mushrooms, add them earlier because they will take longer to cook. I'm using the can because I believe it saves time and there's not that much flavor difference. Let's talk about beef. I use this stuff that's shaved already from the store. It works great, it cooks quick, and it has great flavor. If you're really fancy, you're gonna use a shaved ribeye. Get it as thin as you can from your butcher or shave it yourself at home. Salt and pepper as per usual, season as you go. Do not let this beef bland. I'm looking at you. And then you're going to split it up. Once all the pink is gone from the meat, grab a second spatula and just pull that beef apart. You want nice little pieces that are easy to consume. You don't want big flabby chunks of meat as you're trying to enjoy your Philly cheesesteak. The next step in our process is to get our buns ready. So once this is done, same pan, more butter, and then get your buns out and toast them. You want to put it on a medium-low heat while you're toasting these. You really want to get some deep color into your hoagie rolls because that adds flavor as well. And we are all about layering the flavor. So put the buns down and leave them alone. Let them get nice and brown and toasted. Give it about a minute to 2 minutes and then flip it and check to see if you've got the browning you want. When you're cooking anything, especially sandwiches, it's very easy to make it low carb and a little bit more healthy by simply removing the bread and substituting lettuce or cabbage. For this Philly cheesesteak, I'm going to use lettuce and I'll just put the same filling in that lettuce. Now I'm using the same pan here as I've stressed already in this video, but the flavor lives here. This pan will hold all the flavor from what you cooked before and put it directly into your bread. While our bread finishes cooking, let's tell a dad joke. What does a cow use to do math? A calculator, of course. That one was pretty bad. One thing I like to do here is talk about substitutions. If you wanted to make this vegetable friendly, maybe you didn't want to use beef, you could substitute mushrooms or any other vegetable you wanted. We have a nice balance here because I have my onions, mushrooms, peppers, garlic that's going on top of it. So I think of it like a salad, really, with just some meat underneath. It's a really delicious option, and it's got all of the components that you need for a healthy dish for your family, all on one plate. Once you have your piles ready to go, more peppers, more vegetables, you're going to coat it in cheese. Let's talk cheese. Provolone for this is the classic. People may disagree. Some people may say they want whiz on their cheesesteak. That just sounds disgusting. We are going to use provolone cheese here that's been smoked just a little bit, and we're going to put it right on top of this meat stack for maximum deliciousness. Now, in order to melt this, guys, there's a couple of options. My favorite is to take another pan that we've already used and just put it right on top. This locks in the heat and almost steams this cheese and melts it down on top of your meat pie. Amazing. Fantastic. If you could smell it, you would eat it, I promise. Take that pan off. We've got perfectly melted cheese. We're ready to put it on our toasted bun, and we're going to chow down on this bad sandwich. And of course, by bad, I mean good. You know what I'm trying to say here. Don't question me, just eat. Now you may be thinking, Philip, that's a metal utensil that you're using in a non-stick pan, and you are correct. I use scan pans, which are metal utensil safe. And you may be thinking also, well, Philip, even though they say they're metal utensil safe, they may not be. Well, I got news for you. I got a lifetime warranty. So if they're not metal utensil safe, it's not going to cost me anything. Just ask my wife. She knows I'm the king of customer service. And if you were thinking, Philip, you could have phrased that better. You're right, but I left it in here anyway. Now we're going to do our low-carb option. Same basic principles, meat, vegetables, cheese. But we're going to do a smaller portion because when you're on a gastric journey, you can only have about half a cup of food at a time, especially in your early stages. So we shrink down the amount of meat that we have, we keep our vegetables hot and heavy, and then we're going to put our cheese on top. My pan lost some heat while we were doing all this talking and cooking and making great flavors, so I have to find another way to melt my cheese. You're going to see I put the cheese on and I cover it, but not too much happens. So I'm going to take it back to one of my favorite restaurants that I used to love to eat at, and that's Waffle House. They would make an amazing apple pie covered in American cheese, which sounds gross, but in order to get the cheese to melt, they threw ice cubes on the grill and put a lid on it, and the steam from that ice helped melt the cheese. We did the same thing here, and now we've got melted cheese that's ready to go in our lettuce cup. I don't know why the pan keeps coming in and out of the shot, but it's there, so enjoy the pan. Now, this cheese is all melted. We're going to put it directly into our lettuce, and you can add mayo, ketchup, A1 sauce, whatever you want to add flavor to your dish, but I promise you won't need it. The way that the cheese tastes, the way that we flavor throughout the whole process, how we've got the garlic, we've got our mushrooms, we've got our peppers, it's all just going to taste fantastic. So really put that in the bowl, and you're ready to serve. And there you have it. Philly Cheesesteaks by Philly, two ways, in a lettuce cup and in a regular hoagie roll. I hope you enjoyed this recipe, you like and follow for more recipes, and good luck on whatever journey you're on. And if you happen to be doing a gastric one, stick with me. I'll make sure that we get some more helpful tips as we move forward.